Hello everyone, today we are going to be discussing how empathy is explored in Stasiland by Anna Funda and The Tall Man by Chloe Hooper.
What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It means to put yourself in someone else's shoes. For example, if you fail in an exam and having never failed an exam before, you feel extremely upset about it. Your friend says, "I know how you were feeling. I failed an exam last year." You are feeling terrible, but try not to beat yourself up too much about it. Your friend understands how you feel. That is empathy.
Throughout Stasiland, Funda explores the stories of those that worked for the Stasi and those that were persecuted by the Stasi. She helps the readers to understand the conditions of the subjects and prompt feelings of empathy towards those who had been victims of the Stasi. She also empathizes with some of those she interviews herself. Frau Pohl is one of the people Funda interviewed. She had been put into prison after refusing to betray one of the students that tried to help her get across the wall to West Germany. It is not the first time Frau Pohl has been back, but I don't imagine that this is easy for her. I know there are places that I don't visit, some even that I prefer not to drive past, where bad things have happened. Here, Funda is with Frau Pohl in the prison she was kept at. Funda empathizes with Frau Pohl, using her own experiences to understand how Frau Pohl must feel. And even later too, I could always say to myself, I did not make myself guilty. I can sleep at night with what I have done. It is true that I did not burden myself with this on my conscience, but I did decide against my son. Here is another example of Funda's interaction with Frau Pohl. Funda reveals Frau Pohl's inner thoughts of her decision, helping the audience to understand how anguished she felt on the decision between her son and betraying someone that helped her.
We also hear the story of Julia, Funda's landlady. Now Julia had withdrawn from him, withdrawn into her home and withdrawn from home. This was more than internal emigration, it was exile. In this quote, the last sentence is rather powerful, as it clearly details Julia's despair at the situation, allowing the reader to empathize with her. I think of the shame I would feel sitting opposite Major so-and-so in his office with these intimate things in his fingers. Shame at hearing your words turn into the universal banalities of love in his mouth. In this quote, Funda is putting herself in Julia's shoes here, prompting the audience to do the same. And imagine what it would be like to have your private, intimate letters read by a total stranger.
However, there are also parts in Stasiland where Funda writes about the subjects in a less empathetic light, particularly the former members of the Stasi. Von Schnitzler is a former member of the Stasi Funda went to interview. He has a very rigid and positive view towards the Stasi, one Funda disagrees with. "This is a tantrum engineered to frighten me." Funda portrays Schnitzler likened to an angry child unable to accept the world and rejecting any ideas different to his. Her skewed bias affects the audience judgment of him, thus limiting their compassion. We find it hard to empathize with von Schnitzler as there is little explanation as to why he did the things he did. Furthermore, von Schnitzler is portrayed as eccentric and overwhelming, making it difficult for the audience to empathize with him. Who cares, von Schnitzler counters airily. The manner of speech Schnitzler uses gives him a character of arrogance and imprudence, essentially someone who is unpleasant to talk to. By portraying him as such a character, the readers have a poor impression of him, adding to the audience's difficulty to empathize with him.
Per Christian is another former member of the Stasi Funda went to interview. He had worked in the coding villa, encoding transcripts of telephone conversations intercepted from the West. The audience is unable to empathize with him. "Yes," he says, "being a blind man is the best way to observe people." He chortles, pushes his dark glasses over his eyes, and starts the engine of his huge black machine. Here he is shown to be proud to give Funda a tour, and tells her that there were aspects of his job as a Stasi officer he enjoyed, such as pretending to be a blind man. Readers are shown how Herr Christian is still fascinated with the time when he was a member of the Stasi, and unscathed by the sins he committed. Thus, the readers are not able to empathize with him. The impact from this is even stronger in contrast to Julia's story earlier.
Created using Powtoon.